Yo, what's up YouTube? I wanted to take today's video to talk about something that's a little bit more general, a little bit larger picture, larger meta, macro video, whatever you want to call it. And that's actually going to be talking about the more positive stuff that I've seen in Legion. So it's currently 7.2, it's not 7.3, 3.5, it's not the end of the expansion, so it's not like a looking back on Legion type of video, but we are about halfway through the expansion, and I think it would be cool to highlight some of the stuff that I think is a overall positive for the game and stuff that I have enjoyed as Legion has come out. And I'm actually going to be making a video on the negatives, the top negatives I feel like need to be, kind of worked on for future expansions. I'm going to be making that video tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe and check it out tomorrow. But just jumping right into it, I want to talk about a couple things that are really important to me that I feel like has really improved the quality of gameplay and the motivation to play the game. I mean, that's actually going to be kicking it off with just the frequency of content. So something I really struggled with last expansion on Warlords of Draenor is that I would log in, and as a PvPer, I was only in a PvP, I didn't raid or anything like that. I feel like I logged in and I didn't have anything to do. Like, there was no quest to do. There was pretty much just like a Pexus crystal farming, the Tanan jungle dailies, which was like just a couple quests, and then just like look for partners in arena. That was like the only thing that I could do in the game. And when I didn't want to I didn't want to farm Pexus crystals. I didn't care about that. The dailies were redundant, and I didn't really enjoy that either. And then finding partners was really hard because not many people played the game because of the specific reasons I just laid out. And Legion has done really well by releasing content on a really scheduled path, whether that's releasing a new raid at the right time whenever there's not much content, whether that's the weekly quest lines that seem to be pretty consistent throughout Legion, whether that's world quests, which were awesome. I think world quests were a huge addition to the game because they offer artifact power. Like, there's tons of things you can do in the game, whether that's farm your PvP prestige to get more artifact power, whether that's getting your raids done, whatever it is, and this all increases your character's power, which is good because I personally, as a PvPer, I want to do world quests so that I can get more artifact power, so I'll have more health and more traits available for PvP when I go in, which is super valuable. So I have a need to do all of that content and to do all of the quests and to do the raids because it actually benefits me in other portions of the game, which is really important to me. And I definitely have been enjoying the frequency of content and the frequency of things to do. And this leads me into my next topic, which is going to be a little bit more controversial, but I do want to speak to it because I think it's healthy for the overall game. And that's actually going to be the frequency of class tuning and also class changes. So the frequency of class tuning has been better because let me talk about the beginning of the expansion. So I made a few videos on this actually, and it was because they Blizzard developers, especially in PvP, would just gut or over buff classes insanely, too much too fast. They would just buff an ability by 40%, right? And that's been super unhealthy for the game, but they've slowed it down. They've actually started doing the stuff that I had hoped they would do, and that's actually, they've been doing changes and tuning based on 5 to 10% increments, which is super good. And I love that the developers are taking action to actually trying to fix the game whenever something's broken. Because if we think back to WoD, if we think back to previous expansions, there were always classes like Frost Mages or Subtlety Rogues from Vanilla, and there's tons of classes like that were just super overpowered, and the developers would never take the time to change it. And since we're getting tons of class tuning and even class redesigns in the middle of the expansion, that's unheard of. And that's really, honestly, I understand that there's a lot of mistakes, there's a lot of negatives that probably happen from these class redesigns. A lot of people disagree with that, but I feel like that the fact that it's even happening in the first place is honestly healthy for the game. I feel like even that discussion happening at all is worth having, because when there's something broken in the game, somebody taking action to fix it over not taking action to fix it, in my opinion, is overall a good thing. And that's something that I would really like to see continue throughout future expansions, is just the frequent paying attention to what class or what classes need to be buffed or nerfed. I feel like in whatever capacity, whether that is a redesign because the design didn't play out for the current game, or whether that is just changing a number, because at the beginning of the expansion, Frozen Orb was completely useless for Frost Mages, but now it's actually super useful. It's a lot of damage, and it's a cooldown that people actually fear in Arena, and now it's useful. But in the beginning of the expansion, Frozen Orb was like a joke. People would never press that button because it just didn't do anything, and that was fixed. So I love that that's actually a thing. And moving on to my very third one, which is going to be a little bit more nerdy, but it's actually really important to me. And this is my last topic, is going to be like the actual like armor and spell changes to the game that were first introduced in beta and throughout the entire expansion. So whenever like all of these spells, most of the spells got reworked in their visuals, like combustion, setting you on fire, like actually setting you on fire, or the pyroblast, or just like the blade storm rework, or just a bunch of these different abilities being reworked, like the moonkin getting new animations mid-expansion, or the hunter barrage getting a new animation. Like all these different things really add to the playstyle and the overall immersiveness of the game that I feel like was really lacking in the last few expansions, from these tons of outdated animations, these things that just weren't impactful. And I feel like along with the gear set, like look at my gear right now. Like this is the elite PvP set for mages, and I have the challenge mode solo challenge mode staff. Super, super fun to look at. I actually posted a photo on Instagram a couple days ago just of my character just being like, hey, I finished my elite transmog, and I felt proud of that. And it actually got like the most likes on my Instagram that I've ever gotten on a photo. It was like 400 likes on that photo. And that felt really cool. I love that my gear and my animations for my character are actually impactful and make me feel like I actually enjoy like looking at the class, because they've done a really awesome job of like making this gear. Like I actually, you know what, look at this. Let's look at my gear right now of how it looks on my mage. And then let's look at the previous expansion set. So I've got the transmog mount. Yeah, here's the WAD, right? Now look at how it looks. Like it's a very clear difference. It really doesn't look even close to as cool in my opinion. And I really do think that Blizzard has stepped up their game and their models and their animations. Literally stepped up their game. And I feel like they've done a very good job with that, and I wanted to highlight that because it's so important for me. Like I remember playing WoD and actually like Warlords of Draenor and actually getting like sad because all the arena gear didn't look good at all. And even though it's a small thing, it's really important to me, and I feel like they really did nail the nail on the head, or the screw on the head, and hammer, whatever the saying is. And I really do think that they did a great job with that, and I'm very proud of like how my character looks, because I had to work for that. I had to work for all of this gear set, and overall I just think that they did a great job with it, and I hope that they continue to make really awesome armor sets and really awesome spell animations where it's needed. That's pretty much it. So that's pretty much all of my topics and all of my really high positives that I wanted to highlight in a video. There's a lot of other positives that I probably didn't name. If you have one of those positives on your mind that you really enjoyed about Legion, be sure to leave it in a comment down below. Would love to hear your opinion. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be doing my negatives video, and this is something that will probably get honestly more views because people like to hear about negatives. But yeah, I will definitely dive into some of my top negatives for tomorrow's video, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And you can also leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and if you agree with me. I would love to hear your opinion on what are some of the positive things throughout the game that you have enjoyed this expansion that weren't in previous expansions. And that does sum it up for me today, guys. So thanks for being part of the discussion, and I will see you all tomorrow.